All right, here we are. And our guest today, yes, I have a guest. Can you believe it? In fact, she is my first guest ever.
Man Up with Mark. Mark talks about everything under the sun. You may agree with him, and again, you may not.
And you'll probably recognize her voice. Her name is Cindy Johnson. She's a retired pharmacist and social worker, and now she spends her time with grief yoga, I Restore It exercise. Did I say that right, Cindy?
Yeah, I restore active recovery
There you go.
classes
I would
on
never,
Zoom.
I would never remember that. And she's also a part-time voice actor. That's kind of how we met each other. But there we go. Without further ado, Cindy Johnson.
Hi.
Way to go. Nice. I like that. So, all of you out there, Cindy is the voice of the intro and outro of Man Up with Mark. So, there you go. Now you have a face to the voice.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So, at any rate, we just thought I would get together. I can talk. I thought we would get together and just sit here and chit chat about different things. And talking to Cindy earlier, she thought it would be fun to talk about her life as a single woman now. Not a voluntarily single woman, I might add. So, you know what, Cindy? Why don't you give us a little brief synopsis of what that's all about right now and how you got there?
Okay, so like Mark said, we met way back in, God, I think it was 2010, as voiceover actors, and we've been meeting monthly or so ever since. And Mark knew my husband, Steve. We were together. We were married in 1980, so we were together quite a few years. We all were in Colorado at the time, and Steve was a Colorado born and raised. And then I got him to move down to Florida. Well, we both wanted to move somewhere warm where we could have one set of clothes.
Well, you're
And
tired of the snow? The snow and the
tired
cold?
of the snow, yeah. And Steve was an avid skier, amazing. And we wanted something tinier. So we moved down here in 2016 into Bradenton, Florida. Well, Steve was a colorectal cancer survivor. He had colorectal cancer in 2005, came back in 2014, and he had this horrendous surgery which damaged the nerves in his left leg. And then he got a wound, and that was in 2020. And they were treating this wound, and finally they said it needed surgery because it had gotten infected. So we went into, um, can I name the hospital?
Sure, you can name the hospital. They,
Yeah.
you know what?
I'm
That's
not yeah, I'm not a big fan of them, and I don't, but that was the only hospital there. They're huge in Florida. It's Blake Hospital in Bradenton is where he went in. So, of course, this was during COVID, and they had signs all over that were open and safe. They tested him before he went in, and he tested negative for COVID, and he had a surgery on November 19th, 2020. And after surgery, the surgery went well, and they cleaned out the wound, and then he was gonna have another surgery to kind of flap it. They take skin from some other part of the body and then just flap it over.
yeah.
And yeah, I know. And then it's kind of clear because it was kind of a deep wound. I mean, it was almost down to the bone. Anyway, things started going awry. I mean, he got fluid in his lung, and then he got a blood clot in his good leg, and difficulty breathing, and running a little bit of a temperature. So the 1st of December, I think it was December 3rd, they tested him for COVID, and he had contracted COVID in the hospital. And so they had to move him to the COVID floor. They treated him with remdesivir and dexamethasone, and he seemed to rally. So then they transferred him, after so many days, transferred him out to a rehab hospital. And they transferred him on the 10th. And on the 15th, he just started crashing. He had gotten COVID lung, and he just couldn't clear it. They put a CPAP mask. It's the weirdest thing. They put a CPAP mask on to try to push all of the, it's almost like a paste to the edges of the lung, hoping it'll reabsorb, but it didn't. And he passed away on December 20th of 2020. Now, mind you, we had been married 40 years. He was 66 when he died. I was 65. And truthfully, the first 2 years I barely remember. We have one child. She's an adult. Kind of.
I'm sorry, they never become adults, and until
No,
they get to our age. Once they get to our age, they finally turn into an adult.
yeah, she's 34, and she's like, she says, this adulting sucks. And anyway, she, he passed away, and then, and then, my family, my mother, I had a mother who was 94, and I get a call 8 months after Steve died from my sister, Mom can't live alone. And me, like a fool, I'll just send her to me. And so then I was taking care of my mom. And then she passed away in November of 2023. So I think my grief and my loneliness and feeling single kind of took a while to catch up. And now I'm, in the house alone. Nobody else is here. Well, I do have my little pup, Carlos.
You got Carlos there. He's a good boy. He's a good
I got
boy.
Carlos. Yeah. And it was so funny. I was talking to a woman today who just lost her husband, and she was saying she has a dog too, Leela, who is Carlos's girlfriend. And we were talking about how we talk to the dog all the time, and I'm talking to the dog. And I said, I'm going to have to start wearing earbuds so people don't think I'm like crazy talking to the dog. People just think I'm on the phone. But yeah, I'm starting to feel just the loneliness of being here. I'll be 70 at the end in next month in December. And of course people say, well,
70, Cindy, 70 is the new 50.
oh, good. I'm
That's what they
glad to
say.
hear.
That's what whoever they are. 70 is the new 50.
Yeah, good. Glad to hear that. But because I'm feeling like, oh my God, everything is like aching me. What the heck is the matter with me? And then I have friends who are like, 2 years older, so they're like 70, two, and they have one appointment after another, eye appointments, gout appointment. I'm thinking, oh my God, this sucks. And but anyway, I just, like I said, I just realized it's the loneliness now is kind of hitting me. And people will say, well, why don't you date? I look at them like, what, are you crazy? Like, I see my daughter trying to do this on this online, like, swipe this way or that way, I don't know. I said, yeah, I didn't date very much, even when I was younger. It wasn't a very good experience until I met Steve. So I don't think I'm going to do that. So it's kind of like, okay, now what do I do type of a thing. And so I'm just in the beginnings of that. And it's, I don't know. It's really pretty difficult. Let alone, he was in charge of all the finance stuff. I mean, hopefully I haven't screwed it up royally. It's like, I think it's okay. The taxes for 3 years were a mess. And now I think I finally have that under control. And, as a widow and even a widower, but I mean, as a widow, you get less money. Luckily, Steve was smart enough to know. I don't know if he had premonitions, but he said, start taking your Social Security at 62. So at least we got his and mine, for like what, a couple of years. I mean, 3 years, 4 years,
About 3 years
something like that.
before you, yeah, yeah.
And then when he passed, and then mine went up to his. And but so you have, I come to find out that you have less money, but now because I'm single, which I don't really like because I feel like I didn't like the word widow, and I don't like the word single, because I still feel married. And
But hey, wait, you are and you are.
yeah, yeah,
You are a widow, sorry to say,
I am.
and
Yeah,
you are single.
single. But when so your money goes down, but your tax bracket goes up. So, because you're single now. And I'm thinking, okay, this is not a good plan.
It
So,
sucks. Yeah, I know. That
it's like,
sucks. That sucks.
so anyway, I mean, Steve, luckily, I didn't have to experience what a lot of people did, when they're, we, what, 1.22 million people died of COVID, and some of these people were younger, so, they were still acquiring, their 401ks and stuff like that. They had young children. I mean, I didn't have that. So I know, people there's this whole thing in the psychology world, to be grateful and mindfulness. And I'm like, oh, I told my therapist, yeah, I get it. I'm grateful, but, don't give me any homework like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Okay, I get it, but fuck off.
yeah,
That's
yeah, really. I just bought myself a journal that says "fuck it." That's why, and it's like,
perfect.
yeah. So,
So
I
the dating thing hasn't really, gotten you excited at all. You're not gonna go
not
out
really.
there and join a church group or start hopping bars or anything like that.
No, not really. And the actually the church thing, I was raised Catholic and I gave it
I
up.
am sorry about that.
I know I gave it up. Now Steve he was a Presbyterian, and I think he was a spiritual guy. He wasn't going to church, but I think, he when Erica was younger, he would take her to First Pres in Colorado, and but we never baptized her, and he never pushed for it either. So it's really funny now.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right. Oh, that's
So
all right. That's
we went to a funeral, her and I together. It was a friend of ours down in Bradenton who lost her husband, really nice guy. We went to the funeral, and when they were given these were the Episcopals, like right under the Catholics. And so when communion came about, they said, you're welcome to come up, but, if you haven't been baptized, you can't have communion. So Erica looks at me and I said, sorry, hon, I'm
yeah.
not going either.
Yeah. Yeah, I know how that is. My wife and I, we recently went to a funeral. It was our sister-in-law's mother that passed away, and it was a Catholic mass, and it was the same type of thing when it came to communion. They were saying that, Catholicism is open to everyone, and the priest was doing this explanation, but basically saying, if you're not a baptized Catholic, don't come up here and want to take a piece of the bread, okay? And I
Okay,
looked at Sandy, and Sandy looked at me, and we said, okay, we don't want it anyways.
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because I think I was really suicidal for a really I don't know if it's I just wanted to be with him, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
To the point where, I mean, you can ask me and I can tell you all the means that are out there that are available and the best ones to use. Um, have a lot of medication in the house, but that's not a good way to do it because you can't ever, but
No. No,
yeah,
that's not good. And having suicidal thoughts is not fun either. So that
yeah,
that had to have been tough.
yeah, yeah,
In,
it
in
was.
fact, in fact, I remember you telling me a story a while back about how you and your mom were talking and joking,
Uh-huh.
because your mom was, I think she was having some health issues,
Yeah,
and
and she was
it
ready. She
got to
was
the
like,
it got to the point where you guys started joking and saying, "Well, why don't we just go in the garage and start the car up and run a hose?" And you were telling us this at one of our monthly meetings that we had, and Cindy's telling the rest of the gang this whole story, and we're all like, "Oh, that's fucking morbid."
We were going to have a bottle of wine. Come on, you left the best part out.
Oh, I did. You were going to drink wine while this. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I
it was gonna be
guess
like a
you
little
know what.
party.
Drink up while you're going. I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, come on.
Oh,
And
all right.
yeah,
All
she didn't
right.
want to do it though, so we so yeah, but I was really well, I guess I was just really depressed, and I
Well,
feel it
sure.
really interesting because I was telling because I am taking some antidepressants, but I was saying to my therapist, man, I don't think these are working. It's not making me happy. And she says, well, you're not suicidal though, are you? And I said, I guess not.
So I
So
guess they're working then, right?
I guess it's working in some way. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
So,
That's
and
kind
I
of weird.
and what's the really interesting thing in those first 2 years after Steve died, I kept, people say, well, keep yourself busy, and I did. I mean, I got certified as a Reiki person. Don't ask me, I don't remember a thing. I do it on Carlos though every once in a while. Yeah, I got a certificate and everything. What else did I do? Got really into the psychic community. And even though I thought maybe I can be a medium and talk to him and stuff, that's not going to happen. But on the other hand, I do think I really get signs from him. Example, I when I bought this house, because I sold the place down in Bradenton, and that was my first major thing I did without him, selling a home and, buying another one. And I bought this place up here. And after, it closed and everything, I drove into the garage, and there was a rack on the side and it had a fishing pole. And Steve was an avid fly fisherman from Colorado. I mean, he grew up fishing. And as a matter of fact, when I'd go see a psychic and have a psychic reading. And one of the things she said to me was, I see your husband with another man and they're fishing. And I had a laugh because, him and his father were, that's how he learned to fish. And I have pictures of him and his father fishing. So I just thought that was a sign from Steve saying to me, oh, this is okay. This is a good place for you.
Yeah.
And and then the other sign I got was, which was kind of funny to me. He really liked pistachios, and I put in an Instacart order, and I've been doing Instacart since COVID, and from Costco, and they delivered it, and I'm unpacked, putting it away, and I got this 3 pound bag of pistachios, and I'm like, I didn't order that, and so I, texted the guy, and he said, well, no, just keep them. I said, you're sure they're not for somebody else? And he said, no. And it's just so happens I had saved Steve's double basket that in one part went the pistachios and the other part went the shells. And so now they're sitting on my table, and I'm still using that three. I'm still, that's all I still have some of those 3 pounds of pistachios left. So,
Well, but
um,
you're eating them though. You're starting to eat them though.
yes, I am. I
Well,
am.
there. Good. Good. Don't let
And
them go
then,
to waste.
yeah, and then the other thing is, actually, that's the other thing I do, Mark, that I didn't tell you because I've gotten into my writing a little bit more. I used to write before, and I've gotten a couple of things published. But now I'm in a writing group, and all of us have lost our somebody to COVID. And it's run by a woman who wrote a book called Who We Lost. And she's a writer and a poet and an educator up in Kentucky. And so I wrote this piece for this. It's on. It's a website on Substack called Keep Things. And I wrote it about his coffee pot because I brought his coffee pot up to, this house with me. I didn't get rid of it. And I wasn't a coffee drinker. For our whole marriage, I never drank coffee. I just drank tea all the time. And he would always in the morning, when he was working, make his coffee and then go to work and stuff. And at work, he would drink his coffee. when he got sick, I started making his coffee. And when we retired down here, I would get up and make his coffee for him. And so I bought him his coffee pot. I think it's a Cuisinart, and it has one of those pots that keeps the coffee warm, those stainless steel pots. So I never got rid of it. So I wrote a little piece about that. And I had gone on a trip to Spain and Portugal with a girlfriend of mine and two of her friends. And I had some cappuccino when I was over there. When I came back, I bought myself this little espresso maker that had a milk steamer. And so I started drinking this coffee with steamed milk on the top. Chobani sweet creamer. Oh my God, it's amazing. Anyway, make one of those for Sandy. It's great. Anyway, so I started drinking those, and it's kind of every morning now, that's what I do. And so I wrote this piece about the whole coffee thing and how I've kind of like incorporated that into my life. I get up, feed Carlos, make myself my little coffee with the sweet creamer on in it, and then go on. But
So now you turned into a coffee drinker.
yeah, just that one cup in the morning, but
Oh,
not
oh,
drinking my,
okay.
yeah. So
All right.
but anyway, so that's the other thing. And yeah, I so we'll see what goes on. I'm thinking, man, I'm 70 this year. We'll see. I think about God being 80 or 85. I've decided my checkout time is 85. I did all this research about Switzerland, and they have this thing over there called a sarcopod. And you basically, it's a euthanasia thing. It's legal there. As a matter of fact, I just read an article about a couple. He had cancer, she didn't, and they wanted to die together. Now, I don't think they use a sarcopod. I think they use pentobarbital there. But you have to do it yourself. But the sarcopod, you lay in, you press a button, nitrogen gas is released, and then you fall asleep. And then I guess you can bury yourself in this. It almost looks like something out of Star Trek. Anyway,
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna wait. Hopefully, I'll still be friends with you. But when you hit 85, and when you get to that age, I'm gonna ask you. All right, so do you want to check out now or what?
that's a good question.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask you then.
But so it's really kind of funny. I lost, I went on this trip. It was the first trip I ever took, like a major trip without Steve, to Spain and Portugal, and it was all right, being with you would think at our age there wouldn't be drama, but believe me, I think at any age women have drama. Anyway, so I'm not doing that again.
Wait, audience, notice that was a woman that said that, not this guy,
Yeah, I mean it
not
was.
this man up guy.
It was like, you got to be kidding me. And then, but this year, because it'll be December 20th, will be the 4-year anniversary of Steve's death, and I'll be turning 70 the 26th of December. And so I booked a cruise to New Zealand and Australia.
Oh,
And the reason I'm doing that is because I don't, there's people I know that take all these trips and they hike around and they do this. I just want to be taken care of. That's how I feel. And so we get on this boat in New Zealand, we cruise down the coast, and we make stops, and we can go on excursions, and then we cross the Tasmanian Sea and go up Australia and stop at two ports, I think, before we get to Sydney, and we fly home from Sydney. But and my daughter's coming with me. And then this is really interesting. A high school friend of Steve who has kept in touch with me since Steve died. He lost his wife almost 20 years ago, so he was younger. Um, he's surrounded by women up there, and he lives in Washington State, and all these women want to marry him, I think. I just want him as a friend, but he's going to come with.
right now that's you know what? You
No,
never know
no.
what will happen on this trip. That's what we're thinking.
Yeah, but we're not moving. There's no way I'm moving to Washington State, and his kids are there and stuff. So,
Okay.
but there's almost a part of me that wonders if somehow Steve asked him to check in with me. But he does. I mean, we talk every week. And he's a Colorado boy too. He grew up in Colorado. Him and Steve were Arapaho Rescue Patrol together, and they would hike together, and they'd, snow cave camp and fish together and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Stan is a really nice guy, and he has kind of a personality like Steve a little bit too, kind of quiet and
Oh, nice.
but very bright. I just laugh. Oh, and then I got my first tattoo. So it was,
Oh my God. You got it. Well, you got a tattoo.
yeah,
Look at that. Oh, look at her.
a year
You,
after he died.
you
I
hippie.
went.
You.
I know. I was like 66, 67, and I went to this place down in Sarasota, Oddity Tattoo. I heard they were really good. And this guy, I brought in some cards that Steve had written, and he took two lines from it and Steve's signature. And it says, "Honey, I love you so much. You make me whole. Love, Steve." Yeah, so now, of course, I have to go get another one on this arm, and this one you're gonna love. I have a video, I mean, a voicemail of him. I only have six voicemails of him, and don't ask me why. I encourage people now who are together for long periods of time to send voicemails to each other, not just, "Hun, pick up this, pick up that." Say, "I love you, I really do," so you have those, you have their voice. Anyway, I have this voice message from him, and he ends it with, "I love you and I miss you the mostest." And I was able, being voice people, right? Voiceover people, I was able to play it into Audacity and get a wave pattern. And so I'm going to have the wave pattern put of him saying that. Now, somebody
Oh.
told me I should have the words put across it. But I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe I'll put the words across it. Maybe I'll just do the wave pattern. The wave pattern is really cool, and I guess a lot of people are doing wave pattern tattoos. I don't know. So,
Yeah. Interesting. All right.
and I'll be kind of hip.
Yes, it would be. That's, yeah, look at you tattooing yourself and taking
I know,
drugs.
right?
Let's see, wait a minute. Tattooing yourself and you're taking drugs and you're talking to psychics. You are a hippie.
Yes, I know. Oh, and I have a medical marijuana card too. That's on the
Go
back here in Florida.
go figure. Go figure. I
Yeah.
don't have to have that in Arizona. We can smoke it anytime we want.
Well, that's on the ballot here to it's Amendment 3 is to make it recreationally legal like it was in Colorado or it is in Arizona. And today I saw some signs that said vote no on 3, keep it medical. And I'm thinking, do you guys know the money you can make on
Yeah.
this?
Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
it's it's crazy. But what's weird about it is when I was younger, I smoked probably like you. I
yeah.
smoked pot constantly.
Hmm.
We've digressed from talking about dead husbands to now smoking pot. We're good, aren't we?
Yes.
But I mean, I remember smoking pot from the moment I got up until the moment I went to bed, all the time. Just light up a reefer, smoke a bowl, this and that. And of course, that's when it was all illegal. Now that it's all totally legal, and I'm older, I could care less about it. I don't even touch it.
Well, I don't smoke. I just take the edibles to sleep.
Yeah, you would think I would probably do that, but I don't even do the edibles. No.
Yeah, the edibles are nice. But like smoking now, when we did it back then, there was one kind.
Yeah,
Now
pretty much, pretty much.
pretty much. I mean, you bought some, it was one kind. Now, I mean, it is plus, it's really strong.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're doing, but the edibles, yeah, I do the edibles. It kind of, especially, sometimes I get really anxious in the middle of the day. They have little sprays that'll spray in. I'm being a pharmacist. I want to know the dosage, so that's why smoking's not that good for me or vaping.
Ah,
If you do an edible, okay, this is 5 milligrams. Well, as much as you can, considering they're not sanctioned or anything by, the FDA or DEA or anything like that. But they say it's 5 milligrams, it's 10 milligrams. So, you cut it in half, you have 5 milligrams, you have 2.5. And then one company has this little spray and it says you get 1.6 milligrams. So I like that, knowing like, how much I'm getting actually.
What, but I mean, I wouldn't know how many milligrams it takes to, you know, get me buzzed.
For me, I can't take more than 5, or I'd be really out of it. And they tell
Yeah.
you not to take more than 10 to start.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Especially edibles, you have to give it a while to kind of hit. So that's what people do. They, take some and they think, oh, this isn't working. Oh, let me take some more. They're like
Well, there you go, boys and girls. Don't take any more than 10 milligrams of an edible.
at a
Okay.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, cool. Good. 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 Well,
And
hey,
don't let your dogs get a hold of it.
no, no. That just takes me back to old memories about cats and a glass coffee table and blowing smoke. It was a terrible story.
Yes, yes.
So at any rate, well, you know what? I'm glad we were able to get together, and we'll chat again on another topic, maybe in the near future.
Sounds good.
I like to keep these podcasts relatively low time so that people don't get too bored with me. They won't get bored with my guests, or they might not get bored with a certain subject, but they tend to get bored with me.
Well, I don't
Whatever.
think.
But at any rate, it was, this was good. This was a good little topic, and I'm glad you could share it. I'm hoping that the people out there they got to listen and they felt some feelings. And you know what? If anybody out there has an experience and you'd like to make a comment on it, you could send us a comment. Yeah, just go ahead and comment away. And
Right.
also, this is what I do at the end of all my podcasts, Cindy. So you just listen and learn. And also, if you would please like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell, that would be wonderful.
I
And
like it.
like always, yes, I'm going to beg you for money. Please donate to my Patreon. That's patreon.com, man up with Mark. I know Cindy will. She'll probably jump on it right away and give me all sorts of money.
Yes, definitely. And I encourage you to support Mark.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you. I didn't have to pay her a lot of money for that either. All right, well, that's it, and we're done talking about the topic of being single after many, many years of being married. And hopefully, Cindy, I hope you find romance going to Australia. I really do. I really do.
Oh, we'll see about that. So,
All right, we'll see ya.
if you have a question or comment, email Mark at manupwithmark.com.